Just starting out in chainmail and wanting to learn how to weave? Then stick around. This tutorial is just for you. Hi guys, my name's Deb Marnie and I'm from Aussie Maille, and welcome to our chainmail basics videos. Today I'm going to show you how to do what's considered a beginner's weave, which is European 4-in-1. It's a great weave to learn. It's the basis of many other weaves, so it's a really good place for beginners to start. As part of this, I'm going to show you how to actually weave with EPDM rings, which are rubber rings. It'll create a stretchy bracelet, so you don't have to worry about clasp attachments or anything like that. And I'm going to show you how to join the two ends up. Okay then guys, let's get into it. Okay, so here's some examples of the final pieces that I'll be showing you how to make up today. So as I said, it's European 4-in-1, just a basic 3 row width, but using EPDM so that the bracelets have quite a bit of stretch to them. Okay, so EPDM on our site comes in 3 sizes. So 16 gauge AWG 1.2 millimeter diameter wire, and it's 3/16 of an inch or 4.76 millimeters. So that's this little one here. And to do a bracelet in this size with a length of about 8 inches or 20 centimeters in weave, you'll need 39 of the metal rings and 78 of the EPDM rings. The next size we sell is 14 gauge AWG, which is 1.6 millimeter diameter wire, and we've got that in 2 sizes. So this one here is 1/4 of an inch or 6.35 millimeters ID, and to make a bracelet with a piece of about 20 centimeters or 8 inches, you'll need 31 of the metal rings, whether that's aluminium or anodized aluminium, and you'll need 62 of the EPDM. So they make quite nice sizes, those there. The next size we sell is 5/16 of an inch or 7.94 millimeters. I don't actually recommend it for European 4-in-1 in this size, unless you're after quite that lacy look, or it's just all that you've got on hand. But if you want to make a bracelet in that size, you'll need 22 of the metal rings, and you'll need 44 of the EPDM rings. Okay, so that's about 20 centimeters worth of weave there. So you would just adjust that as you need for your own size. But as you can see, there's quite a lot of stretch in the 16 gauge version. 14 gauge, not as much stretch, but still enough definitely to go over your hand, so you don't need a clasp. They're also very good for making chokers. Obviously though, when you're making the choker, you're going to want to put a clasp on it, because by the time you make it big enough to go over your head, it's not going to be a choker around your throat. But you're also going to need today a twist tie, a piece of wire, a paper clip, something like that will be handy for you. And of course, 2 pairs of smooth jawed pliers. I shot the video today in the 14 gauge, so you could see what I was doing quite easily. So I chose to use our Lindstrom pliers for that. These are the oblique, stubby oblique and stubby flat nose pliers. To start this weave, we take up one of our metal rings. In this case, I'm using bright aluminium, and we open that up. Okay, and then onto that we take 2 of our EPDM rings, we pop that onto our metal ring, and we close that up. Okay, I'm just going to swap my pliers. Alright, so once we've got that in place, we take up our twist tie and we put that through our metal ring. Okay, gives you a handle to hold on to, which I find quite useful with the European 4-in-1. Okay, so what we want to do then is we've got our first initial 3 rings, and we want to place those rings so that we've sort of got, think of it as a mouse's head. So we've got the mouse's ears here, and we've got his forehead looking at us, okay? We don't want him facing away from us. We want his forehead to be looking at us. So once we've got those rings in place, we take up another open ring and we feed that down through the front of the ear on the right, and we give it a little twist and we bring it up through the back of the ear on the left. Okay, so our work looks like this. And then we take 2 more rubber rings, we pop that onto our open ring, close that up, okay, and then position the rings the same as we did the first time, so that we've got our 2 ears, right and left, and our little mouse's forehead looking at us. Okay, and that's basically European 4-in-1. Okay, so I'll just do that again for you, taking up an open ring, feeding it down through the front of the ear on the right, twisting our ring around and bringing it up through the back of the ear on the left. And then before closing, we pop on 2 more rubber rings and we close it up. Okay, fold our ears out so that they're in the right position, and we just keep going. Okay, down through the front, up through the back, and before we finish, put on 2 of our rubber rings. Now, if you're not using rubber rings, if you're using all metal rings, then you can pre-close. Use pre-closed rings instead of where the rubber rings are. There is no reason why you can't do that. So this just makes up a strip of European 4-in-1 that is 3 rows wide. Okay. And you just do that for the length of your bracelet. Okay. So you go ahead and do that now, and when we're finished, I'll meet you back here to show you the next step. Okay, so once you've reached the length that you require, we finish it off just like this, as we normally would be weaving. And what we want to do is we want to go back to the beginning of our bracelet, okay? And we want to remove the twist tie that we had there. And then we want to join these 2 ends together, okay? So bringing our work around so that both ends meet. Now we need to keep the patterns of the rings in place. Okay, so we need to have our purple rings stacking up on top and our metal rings going in underneath. Okay, so you can see here that we're going to need to open this ring up and feed it through the 2 rubber rings that are on the end. So we're going to need to open up our first metal ring, and we need to be able to feed that through both of those rings over there on the other end. Okay, so to do that, we just simply, as I said, open the ring up, and then taking up the other end, making sure we've got our rings all lying properly. We just want to go this time in through the ear, the ring there on the left, bring it around and go up through the back of the ring on the right, and then close your ring up. And you can see that we have completely joined it up in a circle, and you can't tell where it finished and where it started. Okay, so I'll show that to you again. I'll just open up a random ring. If I can find the opening. There it is. Okay, so I'm just going to pull that apart for now. All right. So here we are with what was the beginning of our weave, and here is where we ended up. So when you bring those 2 ends together, you can see, keeping the rings in pattern, We need to keep our purple rings on the top and our silver rings go in underneath that next one there. So again, we just want to open our first silver ring up, and we're going to feed it through this ring here, through the front of this ring here on the left, and then we're going to bring that ring around and feed it up through the back of the ring on the right. Okay, so again, I'll show you what that looks like. So making sure we've got our weave all sitting correctly, we open that ring up. Okay, and then taking up our other end, making sure we've got no twists, that everything is sitting properly. We go through the front of the ring on the left, bring it around and go through the back of the rubber ring on the right. Close our ring up. And now you can see that it's all joined up properly. Okay. All right, so let's say you've made your bracelet and you've made it 3 rows wide and you've decided you would like a wider bracelet. So you've got a couple of options here. You can just put in 1 metal row on each side, which is the way I do it. This was the way I learnt, and it tends to be always the way I do it. So to expand a metal row on each side of our bracelet, we just go up here to the end of our bracelet, and these 2 rubber rings here at the top, you can see where they overlap. They form this space here that we call an eye. And what we want to do is we just simply want to put our metal ring through that eye. Okay, and close it. And we want this metal ring, this row, to mimic this row here in the middle. Okay, our new row is going to mimic that, and you can see that our next metal ring comes in and sits on top of the previous one. So we're going to do that again, and we do that by coming in, we pick up 1 new ring, 1 used ring, and we close that up. Okay, please excuse my cat there in the background, he's wanting some attention. Okay, so you can see now that that row is mimicking, and we just do that all the way down the length of our bracelet, picking up 1 new ring, 1 old ring. And by old ring, I mean one that's already got a metal ring through it. Okay, and just continue to doing that all the way down to your weave, end of your weave. Okay, 1 old, 1 new. And then you'll want to do the same on the other side of your bracelet so that it's matching, so it's symmetrical. So you just go to the other side, and again, it's the same sort of thing. We just want to mimic that row there that's in the middle. So in this case, I'm going through the front of those first 2 rings, through the eye there, close that up. And then when we look at it this time, we can see that the next ring actually sits underneath the first ring. So again, we go through 1 new, 1 old, but this time we make sure it sits on the other side underneath our ring. So you just need to remember that when you add that additional row, whatever way you're holding your bracelet, you just need that additional row to mimic your middle row there. Okay, so if the rings are sitting on top, you put your rings on top. If they're sitting underneath, then you put your next ring underneath. Okay, so you just need to pay attention to what's been done previously and match that. Okay, and then you'll end up with a bracelet that is then 5 rows wide. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Okay, so let's say now that you've got your base 3-column in position, and you actually want to expand it wider, but you want to include a row of the stretchy rings this time. So what we will do is we'll take up one of our aluminium rings and going back to the beginning of our weave. Okay, so back down here with our original 3 rings with a little mouse's forehead, we take a metal ring, we put it up through that ring there on the right, the rubber ring on the right, and before we close, we pop on 1 more rubber ring. Okay, and then we close that up, and then we hold our work in position so that those rubber rings now mimic, or that new rubber ring now mimics the one beside it. And then we take up another open ring and we go down through the front of the ring on the right like we normally would, up through the back of the ring on the left, but we also need to come up through the back of the ring above it. So we're actually going through 3 rubber rings this time. Okay, so I'll just show that to you again. We've got our new rubber ring here that we just put on, our new bright aluminium ring, so that we've got it positioned so that we've got the mouse's ears going again. We go through the ring on the right, through the front as we have been doing. You come up through the back of the ring on the left, and then you also remember to keep coming up and going through that ring there that's on top. Okay, and then before you close that up, you need to pop on another rubber ring and close it up. Okay, position your new rings correctly in the weave. Okay, make sure they're all going the same way, and we do exactly the same as we just did. We take up our new metal ring, we go down through the ear on the right, up through the back of the ear on the left, and then up through the back of the one above it, and then before we close, we pop on a new rubber ring. Close our ring up, and we just keep doing that for the length of our bracelet. Okay, and you can see now that that has given us 3 rows of rubber rings and 2 rows of metal rings. Okay guys, well that's our video for today. I hope it proved to be very helpful to you. If you did enjoy the video and you'd like to help us create more free content, then give us a thumbs up here at YouTube, share, comment in the video below, and if you haven't already, click the subscribe button and hit that bell, and you'll be notified every time we upload new content. While you're here, don't forget to check out some of our other videos that we've got here, as well as popping over to our website to buy all your supplies and goodies. Alright guys, thanks so much for joining us, and I hope to catch you again sometime in the very near future. Bye!